All right, Bones, welcome back to another episode of Between the Lines. I'm Wolfey, former professional soccer player. I'm here with Bones, former professional athlete, all around just professional athlete, but
yeah, just explosive.
Professional basketball
attack
player.
the rim, attack the goal.
Yes.
I was the guy in the back of the 18, just put it up there, I'll attack it. These calves.
Yeah, just
Grealish is jealous of these calves.
Shaqiri. That was your game for a basketball player. Yeah, just muscle. You had Adama Traore, just athleticism.
Yes. I was hard to coach, but very aggressive.
Yeah, mercurial.
Yeah.
Ben. So first episode since Christmas. How was Christmas? How was the fam?
I've been on quarantine for 9 days.
Happy to be here shooting this with you.
So I was exposed, quarantined, tested negative, went back to work. Was re-exposed, and then I quarantined all through Christmas. Didn't see my family. They barely survived, obviously. They're like, first Christmas I could get a word in. I said, it must have been tough for you. They're like, yeah, I had to think. It was really weird not hearing your maniacal ramblings.
I heard your sister called it a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, she did. She was excited.
Yes. It has renewed her faith in Christianity.
Yeah, she's been to church every day since.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. So Bones. I just got the vaccine. My first dose.
Yeah. So
well deserved, by the way.
So yeah, you dabble in hospitals, and I work at a mental health facility where the kids live there, and I can't get it. So, Biden's America or Trump's America, whichever.
Whichever one you don't want.
Yeah, whichever one you hate, just blame it on them. And for Bones,
I completely think it's fair. I'm peddling medical devices around hospitals.
Those people need those ankle surgeries.
Yeah, absolutely.
My kids don't need to live. Basically, the message I've been sending.
I mean, the vaccine is the 2020, and I guess it's going to turn into the 2021 status symbol. Who gets it first? Like you're fucking hot shit if you get it first.
So I'm not gonna lie with that, because in the 20s, like in the roaring 20s, you'd be the shit right now.
Yeah,
you'd just be walking around you'd be doing that what is that dance they did?
The hula?
No, like the one that Leo would do when he come down in Great Gatsby. You'd be one of those guys you'd have a girl and times were so much simpler.
Yeah, this is
besides the abhorrent racism and anti all that stuff. But the Roaring 20s, if you were would be great.
I feel the equivalent of for the Roaring 20s purposes, the syphilis vaccine.
Yeah. You'd have this incredible fit suit when no one else can eat. Yeah. And some kid's asking you for soup and you're knocking out of his hands.
More porridge.
He's like, hey, Billy, tell your dad to get a job. He's been at the docks every day.
Get out of my way, kid. I'm busy fucking.
That's right, yeah.
With no consequences.
Do you know what the Roaring 20s are? I can't eat.
You guys are all sitting around here messing with lambskins.
Yeah, right.
I'm doing latex.
I would be like Cinderella Man, but except getting my ass beat.
All right, so interesting Christmas for both of us.
Yeah.
Interesting Christmas on the field as well in the EPL. Oh, by the way, on the field, not in EPL, but your beloved Tigres winning their first ever CONCACAF Champions League.
And my boy, the Gypsy Grignac.
Gignac, yes.
That's not a disparaging comment. He is a literal gypsy.
Yes.
And he's found home in Mexico, which is all any gypsy wants.
Yeah, but I don't think the French do a hard R, so Grignac, it's more like Gignac.
Gignac.
Yeah.
Okay. Please. Well, I think he hates the French accent. I've read interviews. I'm obsessed with him. I've read so many articles about him.
He is interesting.
I think I have his whole Wikipedia page memorized.
Okay.
He talked about how he used to peddle the T-shirts, and then when the heat comes down, you just move to the next town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he grew up like that in France, which is not easy.
Yeah. So
won't fight in a war, but they hate the gypsies.
So they beat LAFC in the CONCACAF Champions League final.
It's just a classy finish.
It was a classy finish from him. Cool as you like.
Yeah.
So first ever championship, and really, and everybody says this, so I'm not the first to come out and say it, but they have been the best team over the last 10 years in North America. Hasn't really even been close, but they get their first CONCACAF Champions League with kind of like an aging team too, so it kind of puts the cherry on top of the decade for them.
Yeah, and if you love football, soccer, you need, just watch a random Liga MX game, or Liga MX, whatever.
Liga MX.
It is. I mean,
Red cards galore.
It hasn't been as great without the fans, but just how much everyone cares, and like you said, just someone for a slight insult is willing to go studs in the chest and just sit 3 games out and cost the team a match. And it's like kind of accepted by like, yeah, he had to do it.
Yeah.
Like some of the fouls you see in that league,
yeah.
And it's like everyone plays fast paced. Like it's
and I'm at, but don't watch it on like ESPN when it comes on. Watch it on like Telemundo or Univision.
Yeah.
The Mexican announcers, the Hispanic announce team is incredible.
And you never know if the ref's on the tape. Because there's that one kind of overweight ref, and every time he's just kind of like, I don't know.
And on top of it, it's like 4 owners own every team in the league. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The whole like setup is crazy. The season breakup is crazy.
3 different seasons.
Yeah, within a calendar year.
Yeah.
It's wild. So, but Tigres, unfortunately for MLS, a chance to really kind of like announce themselves. Even though I think they still did. Like anybody watching that match. Anyways, we're not getting into it. Tigres, congratulations.
Yeah.
Bones, congratulations for your
Thank you
2 negative COVID tests and your Tigres victory.
Yes, it's been a
massive Christmas for you. But so Bones, big month for the EPL as well. Boxing Day, always a massive day for the EPL. And then we're getting close to kind of the halfway point in the Premier League calendar. Each team plays how many matches, Ben?
38.
38 matches. Most teams in the Premier League have played 15 to this point. So, again, we're not quite there to the halfway point, but we're getting there. Have a good sample size to figure out what teams are kind of doing. But, Bones, I want to direct your attention to...
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me guide you. Take a trust fall with me.
I was a kid that was like licking stuff off my desk.
Where does that...
And the teacher's like, I need to direct you to this worksheet.
Okay.
Well, there's a piece of gum underneath the seat.
That Elmer's goes on the paper, Ben.
That's right.
Not in your mouth.
Like,
yes.
This lesson just got way more interesting.
Those horses weren't slaughtered for your for your enjoyment, other than to make collages. So Bones, 2 teams who just weeks ago were, like 4 or 5 weeks ago, looked poised to make or be like real title contenders and have since run into a pretty poor run of form. Those 2 teams being Chelsea and Tottenham. Chelsea getting embarrassed by Arsenal, who, there were serious discussions about Arsenal. They're still in a relegation battle. But they're
not in a relegation battle.
They're on 17th, but they're in 15th place.
They're not. But do you think there's any chance they get relegated?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
But well,
they would be on 14 points.
But yeah,
all right.
If they didn't beat Chelsea, like say they even drew against Chelsea.
Yeah, they're 3 points.
Their last 5 games would have been loss, draw, loss, draw.
Yeah.
And with all the upheaval going around with players, Guendouzi, Ozil, Mikel Arteta. Anyways, Arsenal. So, an absolute embarrassing result for Chelsea on Boxing Day against Arsenal. Tottenham Hotspur having a really poor run of form themselves. Their last 5 matches, they've gone 1 win, 2 draws, and 2 losses. And those draws and losses have come after getting leads. This last one against Wolves, scoring in the first minute and then essentially absorbing pressure for 89 plus minutes and finally giving up an equalizer. So with this poor run of form, Bones, my question to you is, out of those 2 teams, Chelsea and Tottenham, which of those teams should be most worried? Like, which one is worse off right now?
I think 100% is Tottenham.
Okay.
Because I just think Chelsea has so much talent, and I just don't see how Tottenham. You can't play like that. Like you can't. You just said it. They scored a goal in the first minute, and they're going to absorb pressure for. Just.
All right. So, but let's focus on Chelsea though.
Okay.
Like, what makes you
the talent?
talent. What talent though?
I know Havertz has been bad, but
so they've had a massive price tag again.
You still have Pulisic out wide. You still have Hudson-Odoi out wide.
Do you have Pulisic out wide?
If he's
for
healthy,
how many matches?
Yeah, you still have Werner out wide, and then I still think Giroud and Abraham are better than anything Tottenham has besides the top 2 players.
But So
that's my argument. My argument is just talent. I don't know what they're doing. Like today, we talked about it. The last 20 minutes when they were trying to score and they were dominating possession, there was no ideas. It's like let's ping it into the box. Chilwell's been great, but I'm not like super excited about Chelsea. But I just think Tottenham. I think Son and Kane eventually just are like, I'm not going to play with this anymore.
Yeah. So my issues with that, Ben, is, and I hear you about the talent.
Amen, brother. Let my voice be heard.
Yeah.
I'm out. I went outside today.
I hear you about the talent. It's been well publicized. They spent $200 million in the offseason. They upgraded where they definitely needed to upgrade. They brought in Mendy from Ligue 1.
He's been great.
Rennes, who he's had a couple like mishaps, but he's definitely a massive upgrade over Kepa.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. They brought in Thiago Silva, who has kind of stabilized their back line, and he actually has been great.
Chilwell's been good.
Chilwell, who you and I probably weren't high on when they bought him.
I mean, just the amount they paid for him was
it was a lot of money.
Absurd.
But he has been good. He has been.
And then I don't think Zuma and Rudiger haven't been awful, which is weird. They're just not scoring anymore.
Well, Rudiger hasn't had that many chances since Thiago.
But that's because Zuma's been good.
And Zuma's been good. And Zuma has scored.
Yeah.
Zuma scored a couple goals.
And they love the corners.
Yes.
It's most goals in the EPL.
And so that talent has been good. My question to you, and again, so the talent that we said has been good has largely been along the defensive line for them, right? That's Chilwell, that's Mendy, Thiago has been good, and that has kind of played out. We look at their goals against; they've had 18 goals scored against them in 16 matches, so just over one goal a match. That's pretty good, especially you look at like Liverpool, Leicester City, who are both those teams are 1 and 2 in the league respectively, have given up 20 goals.
Less goals than in the top 6, except for Villa.
Yeah, except for Aston Villa, who has been good, and they've scored more goals than Aston Villa. So you look at that defensively, those acquisitions have performed pretty well. It's offensively that has been the struggle, and we talked about Christian Pulisic, who's had his injury issues. I mean, people are talking today, and again, they've had short rest. They played on Boxing Day, which was Saturday, and then they played on Monday. So 2 days between, and I mean, really 1 day between. But like, people were talking about like, should they sit Christian Pulisic just to give him rest because of those injury issues, which I think is crazy. At this point, you just have to fucking play him. Like, if he's just going to be injury prone, then he's just going to be injury prone.
I agree.
And especially after their run of form, they can't afford to like not start.
I think that argument's super weird. Like, if you're coming back from an injury, you're training every day, you're lifting every day, like playing an extra 30 minutes, those like things where like you can only play 20 minutes. There's no other sport like.
Yeah.
I mean, every once in a while in the NBA, some guy will play like 12 minutes, but that doesn't. I can't imagine there's any proof that it reduces injury.
The loads, yeah.
Yeah.
But Bones, so back to the whole reason we started talking about this was you think Chelsea's in a better place just because talent alone. My point, though, is at least offensively, and really I'm looking at two guys, Timo Werner and Kai Havertz, have not produced offensively. I think in 16 games, Kai Havertz has 1 goal, 1 assist.
Yeah.
Timo Werner, on the other hand, 4 goals, 4 assists, which on the face doesn't look too bad, especially for a new guy getting adjusted to a league. But those were early on. He's gone 10 games, I think 11 games now as of Monday, without a goal.
Yeah, and
he's missed sitters.
And so there's obviously 2 ways you can take this argument with. I think Havertz, he's an argument where I don't think it's a big deal. Because it's a big deal for Lampard.
And he was the most expensive. Kai Havertz, most expensive.
No, I'm saying it's a big deal this year for Lampard
in
his future in Chelsea, but I think Havertz will eventually figure it out. He's not like all of a sudden terrible.
Yeah.
But I think the bigger issue is Werner, because the argument obviously goes two ways. It's like he's creating all these incredible chances, and some of the runs he makes are like euphoric, but you cannot be on a team like Chelsea.
Euphoric run.
They are. Did you, like the one where he set up Abraham? He just beats 3 guys. Like he looks like one of the best players in the world. But like when you're a team like Chelsea, if he finishes those sitters, they might be in first.
Yeah.
And so it's so hard to make, like, if you asked a Chelsea fan to grade Werner, like, how do you even grade him? Because he creates all these chances, but he's absolutely murdered them.
He's so inconsistent. Yeah, with those chances.
And it's obviously getting his head because, like, the RB Leipzig finishes were bad, but, like, the one where he hit it off his own crossbar when it would have gone in, and then he had one today. He was, like, 12 yards out, at least put it on target. He skies it over. That was, like, in the 84th minute.
Yeah, and that was on Monday against Aston Villa.
Yeah, they could have won that game. I mean, just that's not a tough finish.
Yeah. I'll give you some credit, Benz. You did, as soon as Chelsea bought Timo Werner, and not that we said that Timo Werner was going to be a bad acquisition for him, but you did say, if you're a Chelsea fan, just be ready. He's going to miss a million chances.
Right.
He creates a million chances, but he is going to miss a million. It's going to drive you crazy, and you just hope that those chances don't like kill you in big games. He seemed to have like a ton of chances while he was at Red Bull Leipzig playing in Bundesliga. He still has a lot of chances now, but those chances are going to be more limited than when he was playing in the Bundesliga. And the expectations are bigger too. So like each miss carries a little bit more weight. You know, Red Bull Leipzig was competing to get into Champions League and do well in Champions League, but they didn't have any pressure to win Champions League.
They didn't spend $200 million.
They don't have pressure to win the Bundesliga, really. Yeah, and now you're a big-time acquisition. You have a price tag on your head, and you're missing big chances in big games. Those chances become highlighted even more.
But I think the reason I like Chelsea better than Tottenham is because of what you said. Defensively, they solidified. Mm-hmm. Mendy looks very good. He's made a couple mistakes, but he looks very good. I love Mount. Conte.
Mount is the number 8.
Yeah, Conte, Jorginho, whoever you throw out there is good. And I think they have great attacking players, but like where I do agree with you is if they lose a few more in a row, like the heat and then just all that pressure in the locker room. Because I know sometimes we make fun of the pressure in the locker room, but with all those guys randomly coming into a new team and you're like an 8th or 9th in the EPL, it has to get contentious. I mean, you played professionally, obviously. Like when someone misses a sitter like that, like the first time, you're like, okay,
yeah,
and then you're just like,
after a while,
yeah, you're just like, we can't keep playing you the ball if you can't finish from 5 yards out.
Yes, the old Kareem Benzema about Vinicius Jr. telling his teammates, don't pass him the ball. He's playing against us.
Right.
Yeah. So Bones, and I haven't even given my answer yet, but my answer, you said Chelsea is in a better position than Tottenham because of talent. I agree with you. They're a more talented team than Tottenham. But my reason, and my pick is Tottenham is actually in a better position. And my reason, we'll go first, me for Chelsea. And I talked about this earlier episodes. I do not trust Frank Lampard. You mentioned Kai Havertz. You think long term he'll be okay.
Yeah.
I think he will too if he ever plays in his position. And this is what we talked about. We had issues with Mason Mount all of last season and at some points this season early on, but he seems to be settling into the like true number 8 role, which he's good at.
Yeah, he's very good.
But Frank Lampard, tactically and his lineup choices are just fucking baffling at some point.
Yeah, I mean he's hamstrung Havertz.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps playing Havertz out wide. And again, Havertz is like an attacking center mid. You could probably even play him. I don't know if he's like a real number 8. I don't like as a box-to-box guy. I don't know if he has that like type of energy. But he's definitely needs to be playing underneath the striker. That's where he was successful with Leverkusen.
Because we were deep in the Bundesliga. He needs that freedom. And like you'd be watching a Leverkusen game and it'd be like a boring build-up. And then all of a sudden he just finds space. Like he plays it. He played like at Leverkusen. He played those like Liverpool style 1-2s where he slides under like Salah would do and play to Mane and then he's in and he'd score some goal and you're like, where the hell did that come from? And that, like you said, they're playing him out wide. He's not good.
Yeah, he's not good out there, and it's the same kind of Mason Mount thing. You know, Havertz is catching a lot of shit. Just like Mason Mount caught a lot of shit when he played out wide, and it's not his position. And you and I gave Mason Mount a ton of shit, but we eventually came around saying it's not his fault.
Right.
It's Frank Lampard for playing him out there. Eventually, Frank Lampard has to recognize he's just not fucking built to be out here. His skill set does not suit like a winger.
And
That's
he's
not Kai
because
Havertz.
he's not someone. Even when he's playing that, like you said, attacking center mid, he doesn't take people on.
Yeah.
He gets the ball in space and he plays it off and he makes great like intelligent runs. He's not one that's just gonna like take. And when you're playing out wide, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah, and you wonder now if it's too late for him, at least as far as this season goes. Like, he's got so much pressure on now. Has Lampard, even if Lampard starts playing him in his more natural attacking center mid position, has he kind of ruined him confidence level wise for the rest of the season? Like, is this fixable for Kai Havertz? Can he recover? I mean, I guess we'll learn a lot about him as a person, like how strong mentally is he,
and now
he can get over
and
this.
it's weird because we're talking about like how old is he? Like 21.
Yeah, he's young. Yeah,
But also the way he handled the situation, Leverkusen was not great. So it's like, is it him? Because at Leverkusen he just just stopped trying. He did the Sancho, which obviously they should have sold Sancho, but like I want out and I'm just not going to try anymore, which is a kind of an odd.
Yeah. But that's so that's my thing. I do not trust Frank Lampard. That's why I think Chelsea is in more trouble than Tottenham. And then not just his roster decisions, Bones, but if we look back after the Arsenal match, Frank Lampard goes in front of the press and criticizes the team.
Yeah, I hate that.
Says they need to take more responsibility for this loss. Well, Bones, you and I have both been in professional locker rooms.
Oh, no doubt.
That shit is not going to fly well.
No, you can't. And like, it's a double-edged sword, right? Like, I hate, at least I do. I hate the people that are like, these athletes are entitled. Of course they are.
Yeah.
Like, their lives, that's their life.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, if you look across all leagues in any sport, the successful managers are ones that are either, like Mourinho, a tyrant, or you're a player's coach. Mm-hmm. Lampard's trying to walk that line where I'm the player's coach, I'm everyone's friend, and then I'm going to crush you in the media. And that's who people that never works. Right. That's who players hate.
Right.
Who's someone who will not tell you to your face that you were awful and then go to the press and be like, these guys need to... Like Lampard trying to be like, I'm the old school EPL and also I love players. You can't do both.
Yeah. Well, and I don't even... we don't know what Lampard said to him in the locker room. But the fact that he came out to the press, like, he couldn't have just eaten it himself. Like, I'll tell you this, when we had to sit through all those shitty performances of Mason Mount out wide.
Yeah.
It was clearly his wrong position. Again, Havertz clearly his wrong position out wide. And see fucking Frank Lampard raising his hand and being like, this one's on me, boys.
And I don't know what he said to the players either, but I guarantee you he didn't go up to Werner and be like, I'm about to crush you.
Yeah.
Werner looks like... Werner's like... I should have stayed in Germany. I'm lost in London. I'm on lockdown. I look like I want to kill myself. And Lampard's like, he sucked.
He pulled him at halftime, which is embarrassing.
And we talk about this all fair. Like, the things Werner are doing are not like they're not effort based. They're missing sitters, and that's not something you can't just go like everyone also hates coaches who are like, you should have scored that. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. Like, you idiot. Like, if you want to tell me something tactically or I wasn't trying hard enough, then yell at me all you want. But, like, hey, you shouldn't have kicked it off your own crossbar. What is going on?
Yeah. Well, and Lampard came out and said, he criticized Werner. He said he wasn't good enough on the ball and off the ball. So he kind of, like, went at him for his effort in that match against Arsenal. And then on the ball said he wasn't good enough either. Lampard could have easily, avoided the question. I guess any, like, experienced manager, you would think, would have avoided the question.
Or like you said, just take it on the chin.
Yeah, take it on the chin yourself, which would earn you a lot of respect in the locker room. Right. And then you can go in and just fucking rip into the team in the locker room.
Right.
And, you still may like create some enemies by at least ripping them in the locker room. But going into the press and roasting your own team is certainly not going to like make any friends. No one is like nobody. I can tell you this: nobody in that locker room heard that when he criticized them. It's like, you know what? He's fucking right. Now I'm gonna start running.
And the other thing is they're a young team overall, but they have a ton of leaders. You have Silva in the back. Yeah. You have Conte, defensive center mid. And you have Giroud, 3 of the most experienced players in the world. Like, it's not like those guys should take control.
Giroud. Jorginho seems like he's a big-time leader, too.
Right. Dave Aspirations. I mean, Zuma's not, like, he's been around. Like,
Zuma.
Mendy seems like a leader, too, and he just got there. So it's not like they have this team with, like...
Rudiger's up there as well.
Like, PSG would be an example where I would think you'd need... Because you don't have, like, a real leader. You see maybe Di Maria, but, like... This team has Conte, one of the most respected players in the world. Thiago Silva, one of the most respected players in the world. Dave, one of the most respected Chelsea players of all time. Like you don't need to make comments in the media about the team.
Yeah. What was that, Dave Haspel?
No, I mean his name's not Dave. That's the funny thing is they call him Dave.
It's David Aspilicueta.
Yeah, it's just funny that all the Chelsea fans call him Dave.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah. So for me, Bones, I agree with you. They're a more talented team than Tottenham, but why I think they are in bigger trouble is quite frankly Frank Lampard. I think he's. I said it a while ago, and then they went on like a bit of a good run, and then so I was trying to kind of had to walk that back. But then the other things we talk about. Actually, let's just get on to, I guess, going to Tottenham now. And the reason why I think that they are better off is Jose Mourinho.
All right, so my question for you with this, and it can be persuaded easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is Tottenham going to shift the way they're playing because they keep getting up 1-0, and he thinks he can just?
They're not going to shift the way they're playing.
At all. They're not going to go for a second goal.
I mean, no. I kind of understand it because it's not like they come out playing like progressive football. So they score their first goal playing the way they normally do, and they just don't get a second though. Like they're not. At no point do they change the way they're playing. Really, it's like they sit back and they hit you on the counter. They just happen to score like early on the last couple of matches, and they just didn't get the second one. So it's not like something's changed. Like it's not Tottenham is not one of those teams that like presses hard, gets a goal, and then all of a sudden just changes completely the way they play and then sit back and try to absorb pressure for the rest of the time. But do they
have the defenders to play like that?
I think they do. Well, especially when you're sitting back. Like defenders don't have to be necessarily like world class when you've got all 11 within 30 yards of your own goal.
So I would take you back to your question you said the other day. Yeah. When if they lose another one in a row or whatever, Kane and Son, I mean they're just trotting 40 yards from their own goal.
Yes, there's two issues with Tottenham, right? Or well, there's a couple. So one, and this is part of the reason, like when they got off to the hot start, Harry Kane and Son, when they were like, "Oh, did you get that assist?"
Yeah.
That was the worst fucking Asian accent.
I don't know. Was that an Asian? Let's just pretend that was just one of them.
Yes.
That was either or.
Yes. So it was, I just don't think, like they were on a historic run. Like there's no way that they could have kept that up. And it's not like they were, like running away with the league at that point. So for them, they were bound to fall. Like there was no way that was gonna carry on.
Expected failure. It's an epidemic.
Yeah. And then on top of that, like they just carried way too much of a burden, too much of a load. For Tottenham, there's really no one else. The whole Gareth Bale acquisition or transfer, like that was never going to be like. I was never going to solve their issues.
Right.
Steve Bergwijn's been okay with them. Lucas Moura, yeah, fine, whatever. Eric Lamela, yeah, fine, whatever. Like, we know what they are.
Strangely, I feel like they miss someone like Llorente. Like a Giroud, like some old guy that can come off the bench and score a goal.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have a backup striker. They don't. That's my problem with them. They don't have anything else besides Son and Kane.
Yeah. But what they do have is Jose Mourinho. And for as bad as he is in year like 3 or 4, and the team absolutely hates him, and we've talked about this, not only is it his personality, but it's the playing style. If you're like a top player like Harry Kane, Son, you do not want to play defense and chase the ball around for 90 minutes during a match. Like you want... we look back at like the old Barcelona from 2011, like the height of Pep Guardiola, where they just outpossessed teams, 65% to 35% or something like that. Every player seemed to come out and be like, "That's how I want to play," and that's because you do want to play like that. It's more fun, and if you're playing defense the whole time, if you're winning, you can swallow, you can take it. But if you're not getting the results you want and you're playing that type of defense as a top player, it's fucking miserable.
All right, so for me, I still think Chelsea finishes top 4, and I don't think Tottenham finishes top 4.
Okay. And Tottenham for you is just the depth, the way they're playing.
Yeah, and like if any injury comes.
That's true.
I mean, even like Horbier getting hurt, that would be massive against them.
Horbier.
Yeah, that's how you say it in Danish.
Oh, my little Danish friends.
But so that's my argument for. I think Chelsea, that their amount of talent, they still finish top 4. I think it's Liverpool, Man City, and then God, I hate to say this. I think Man United finishes top 4, and then Chelsea.
Yeah. So I think Tottenham finishes above Chelsea. I think Jose Mourinho, at least for this season, we'll figure it out. Again, like Tottenham has had leads in these games.
Yeah, every one of them.
So if if you look at it, if you look at their last 5 matches, 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses for Tottenham. They're tied on points, 26 points with Chelsea. Played 1 less game than Chelsea.
Chelsea lost, win, lost, draw. Yikes.
Yes. So if Tottenham had just figured out how to get one of those wins, against Wolves on Sunday, and finished with a draw in one of those, like they're not that bad.
Yeah, and they've caught some bad breaks. They had the handball in the 97th that one game.
So if they held on to the lead against Wolves, they would be on 28 points, which would put them in 4th. Again, that's why I think it's one of the reasons, but I think they're better off. I think.
So gun to your head, you take Tottenham top 4.
Yes.
Because I want to kill you.
Be great for the podcast. So Bones. So your top 4, we do this every week as things shake out. It's a long season. We change. Plus, we're both idiots. So we change it every week. So Bones, your top 4, right now, I'll go through the top 8 right now, Bones. We have Liverpool, Leicester City, Everton, Man United, Aston Villa, Chelsea, Tottenham, Man City. So your top 4.
I'm going to go Liverpool, Man City, Man U, Chelsea.
Which, by the way,
because Man U looks incredible.
And Man City is sitting behind both Chelsea and Tottenham.
Yeah, but they have games in hand.
They do.
They have 2 games on Leicester. They have a game on Everton.
They have 2 games on Chelsea.
And they have 2 games on Chelsea, yeah.
And they're tied on points.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
I mean, Man City could easily still win the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's going to be fun, though. That's the thing, Stevie. It's all about having fun while we're here. The spinning ball of death.
That was the douchiest thing I've ever heard.
Well, I just survived a COVID scare, so...
Yeah, so you have Liverpool, you have
Man City, Man United, Chelsea. That would be my top 4 right now.
Yeah. So for me, I'm with you. I have Liverpool. I have Man City. I think we both. Again, I had Tottenham winning the league just a couple weeks ago. I think Liverpool is going to win the league. No team is going to run away with the league this year.
No, thank God.
We're on board with that.
It's the EPL I grew up with.
Okay.
Everyone has a shot.
Yeah.
It's like West Brom, Liverpool.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up with.
Like the Liga Mecca you grew up with.
Yeah, exactly. The same.
Chivas needs to come back.
That's right.
I need Chivas
yes.
to be good. So Liverpool. I'm Liverpool, Man City, Man United, and Tottenham for me. And I think I have Chelsea finishing around like 5th or 6th.
And so the next question, I guess, is if they finish 5th and don't win the Champions League.
Oh, Lampard's done.
He's done.
Yeah. I don't even think he'd last the whole season if it looks like.
And your boy Thomas Tuchel just laying in the wings now.
Yeah. So Bones, I guess one of my last questions for you is how big of a leash, and I guess you kind of asked me, how big of a leash do you think Lampard has?
I think they let him finish the season.
No matter what, even if they don't finish in the top 4?
No, I think they let him finish this season.
Yeah, but if they don't finish...
Well, they wouldn't know that unless they can see the future.
Or they're that far out.
Some kind of oracle.
Or they're that far out.
I think they let him go through the transfer window. I don't... The problem is, with the money they've spent, they don't really need...
$200 million.
Like, that's a problem. With the manager, you figure that out. Like, they're not adding pieces in January, you wouldn't think. So, but I think they let him finish... You don't think they let him finish the season? Like, say they lose their next two.
If they're,
I don't even know who they play, but say they lose
no,
their
I
next
don't think they're firing Lampard. If they lose their next two, whew, if they lose their next two, they will have gone loss, loss, win, loss, draw, loss, loss.
Or just say they get two draws their next two. I just don't.
Then they're fine.
I don't see any narrative. I don't see anything playing out where he gets fired before the season.
It's too close. Yeah. So I guess what you're saying is, even if they don't finish in the top four, they're always going to be hanging around like fifth or sixth. And
right, so you
like
can't fire him. But
if
if they do not finish top four and don't miraculously win the Champions League, then I think he's done.
I mean, I guess the only like counter to that I would say is what happens if they do lose the next two, then you could easily, if you're Roman Abramovich, say, well, shit. Let me get rid of Lampard now.
Yeah.
Let me get somebody in, and we can salvage the season from there.
Nothing's out of the realm of possibility with these psycho managers. But I mean, with the owners. But I just
Especially
don't.
Roman Abramovich.
But I guess now the one thing is you have Tuchel, who everyone knows is a world class manager and a sadist and psychopath. He'd like be a great guy to get them in the top four and then just get rid of him.
Yeah.
Because him and Abramovich could never coexist. That's his problem. That's Tuchel's problem everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's ugly.
Yeah.
You don't trust someone that looks like that. He's hideous. It's not his fault. I'm not mad at him, but my God.
Yes, it is. I mean, who's worse looking in like world football? That's like a select group of people who like ugly guys that are playing professional soccer, including myself.
But are you talking about managers or players?
All the above. But
Tuchel.
Who's worse looking, Tuchel or McTominay?
Who's McTominay?
Scott McTominay, Man United.
I think he's kind of hot.
Get the fuck out.
He's got a great. But I would go more like if we're comparing like people of different generations. I would say who's uglier, Tuchel or Havertz.
That's true.
Because if you see that face on face, them on the sideline, I just might combust.
Ratatouille.
Yeah, exactly right. Like Tuchel looks like he's about to munch on a piece of cheese, and so does Havertz. And I
think Tuchel looks like a skeleton. Like Halloween must be a
all right,
different
here's my question to you. So, imagine you're a young Stephen Wolf.
Yeah.
You're 20 years old. You're not a bad looking guy. You're like a 7. I'll give you a 7.
I had the syphilis vaccine.
Yeah. So, would you trade your life at 20 for Havertz to look like that?
No doubt. It doesn't matter what you look like when you're like that.
I know, but it's always like that girl's just sleeping with you because you're rich and good at soccer.
I don't care.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's just always a thing I've thought about.
When I was 20s, they were only sleeping with me because they were drunk.
Like, I used to ask everyone in high school, would you trade your life with Tyrone Hill? If you had to look like that. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, would you?
Havertz, with like, Botox, like plastic surgery and all kinds of stuff, I think he could turn it around. He's still got time.
Okay. But there's new money and there's old money.
He's got a lot of acne, which that concerns me.
Yeah, yes, I don't know. It's a question you always have to ask yourself.
Yeah. But Ben, so my last question, we talked about Chelsea and the embarrassing defeat to Arsenal. We do have some Arsenal listeners, so real quickly, Bones, do you think that win over Chelsea springboards or propels Arsenal in the league?
I think Arsenal will finish 8th.
So Arsenal right now, they're currently in 15th. So 8th, that's a big improvement.
Do you think that saves his... But the question is, does that save his job?
Arteta? Yeah, because he'll still figure out a way to win a trophy this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're talent-wise, they're probably the 8th best team in the league.
I think,
like, are they more talented than like Everton or Villa?
I mean, they should be more talented than Aston Villa.
And the last question I wanted to ask you is, I know this is off topic, but is Grealish, because we talk about Son and now like Son, is Grealish the MVP of the league right now? I mean, he's incredible.
I mean, I still think like Son and Kane are in the driver's seat for that. But you look at the turnaround for Aston Villa. I mean, they should be relegated.
Right.
If not for the
VAR.
The VAR decision, the first game back after the restart and goal. It wasn't even VAR. It was goal line technology.
It like
went
flipped out. Yeah.
In the Sheffield match, it was like Sheffield Arsenal.
It was Sheffield, someone terrible, and the guy fell in the goal, and Sheffield should have won. And
maybe it was Aston Villa. Was it Aston Villa?
I don't. It wasn't, but it
was Sheffield.
But that caused that team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So Aston Villa should be down, and now they're sitting in 5th place. Really, only 6 points out of tie for first with Liverpool. Yeah. So Jack Grealish has been incredible.
The whole league treats him like a Wing Ching dummy.
What the fuck is that?
Those wooden dummies that they beat up like a Karate Kid. Like he just like Ben Mee treated him like an unwanted child. It was unbelievable.
Or they treat him like he treated those cars when he was playing bumper cars after drink and drive.
That was I haven't decided whether that was funny or not. No one got hurt, but my God, he just played.
When no one gets hurt, that's funny.
Yeah, I got
the way he like bounced around those cars and ran away.
He was inside a cheap amusement park.
Yeah.
A millionaire and they had it on film.
Yeah, he's at the state fair.
Him running out like.
Yeah. So for me, I think you're more bullish on Arsenal than I am, bringing it back to Arsenal and will this springboard them. I think they have like some deep issues, not just on the field, but we've seen off the field with Guendouzi. Mesut Ozil continues to like troll Arsenal. So I don't think that Arsenal has solved their problems just because of that one win. But I think it's a one.
I would say right now the wheat has been separated from the chaff, and the top 8 teams are the top 8 teams right now. I don't see anyone that's not in the top 8
getting into the top 8, right?
Like I really don't. I mean, it could potentially like Leeds or Arsenal or someone could finish 8th, but no one's getting above Tottenham, Chelsea, Villa, Man U, Everton.
So you think you're convinced that Aston Villa finishes in the top 8?
I think they finish top 8. I'm not saying they're. I don't even think they'll make Europa, but I don't see like Southampton or West Ham or Wolves or Leeds or Crystal Palace jumping Villa. Villa looks good.
I'm kind of with you. The only thing
because of the goals they've given up. They've given up 14 goals.
Yeah, their defense is great. Only Manchester City has given up less goals than Aston Villa this season.
And Villa has scored 7 more goals. Man City just can't score.
Yeah, Man City, which is shocking. You never thought you'd hear that about like a
Your boy, gorgeous Gundogan, put one in the other day.
He's great. Most underrated midfielder in the world.
All right.
Yeah, just makes things look easy. Never gives up possession. The only thing I would say is, I agree with you, but I wouldn't be shocked if like Southampton had just passed Aston Villa if Aston Villa falls. Because again, Southampton's on 25 points. Southampton is sitting in 9th. Aston Villa sitting in 5th, but they're only 1 point off of them.
Yeah.
So that would be the only thing. But I agree with you. I think pretty much the top 8 is pretty much settled. It's just how those teams are going to shake out. So, anyways, a lot going on. We've got matches going literally every day.
Yeah, there's matches today. There's matches Wednesday, and then the weekend they just kick it back off.
Yeah. So tons of matches happening every day. Make sure you're staying up to date with all of it. You can follow us on Instagram. Is probably the best follow for us right now. We're at BTL Soccer Podcast. Bones is posting things every day.
Yeah, I'm scouring
the web for it.
I wake up every morning at 5:50, Stevie, and I post our story. And I get no credit for it, but that's not why I'm here.
The day I don't see a new Instagram post, I'll just assume COVID got you.
Yeah, well, that was close. A couple close calls.
Yeah, and then we are starting to post these videos back up on YouTube. So if you're not listening to the podcast or for whatever reason, you can find them on YouTube now. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel already, go ahead and do that. And then go ahead and participate in all the polls on Instagram.
Yeah, and BTL Bets is promising they're going to start keeping their record starting January 1st. That's their New Year's resolution. Man, you pitch.
Yeah, I mean...
You can't just, like, put picks up and not say your record.
Yeah.
I mean, you can.
You can do that.
Maybe that's what we should have done. Just be like, we're 80%.
Yeah, bam. So anyways, make sure you're following along with us, and we will see you guys shortly for another episode of Between the Lines.